Hello and welcome back to another episode of Awaken, Heal and Transform with your host, me, Francesca Raffa. Today, I am delighted to be welcoming my soul sister, Harriet Adkin, onto this episode. She is the founder of Burnt Orange City, and she is a multi-talented, multi-passionate creative. Her aim with Burnt Orange City is to interlink creativity with well-being and to guide people into unlocking their full potential as powerful creators through collaborations with other artists, through these chats that she creates, and also creative events that she hosts to help everyone tap into that innate creativity that we can then utilize in so many ways to awaken, to heal, and to transform. So I'm very excited for this conversation, and I can't wait to dig in a little deeper in what creativity means to Harriet and how she has utilized creativity in her life for her own healing. So let's welcome Harriet. Hi, Harriet. Thank you so much for joining the Awaken, Heal and Transform podcast today. I am so excited to have you here and talk about your journey into creativity and how it has helped you on your own healing journey. But firstly, I just wanted to kind of introduce you and how we've connected, which has probably been one of the highlights of my entire life, I would probably say. So I've known you for 8 years now, and when I moved to London in 2013, you were my first ever friend and my bestest friend still to this day. So I am so grateful for our encounter and our connection. And it is definitely one, as we've said many a times before, that is on a deep soul level that, I remember that time we sat in Starbucks and I was crying and I didn't even know why I was crying. And this was the first encounter I felt like I had with meeting a soul tribe, someone from my soul family. So we definitely have a deep connection, and it's been so amazing to be on this journey with you up until where you are today. So it's really great to have you here so that you can share it with my listeners and your listeners, so we can find out all about Burnt Orange City, which you are the founder of, and what's kind of sparked this for you. Like, what has made you create this? What was that initial passion within to start Burnt Orange City? And just introduce yourself and your journey.
Well, firstly, you mean the world to me, and want to announce that so everyone knows how much you mean to me. And yeah, of course, I remember that time in Starbucks, and we were both just these emotional, like some people were like, "What are they?" It's like a Sunday, and they're just like sitting there with their coffees. But we've been through a lot together, and there's so many more lovely memories and experiences to come. So I'm really excited for that. So okay, with Burnt Orange. So for me personally, I've always been creative, and I've always turned to creativity as a form of healing, as a form of processing experiences and traumas and emotions. And I think I think it has always been a natural part of me, and innate. It's obviously, okay, I'll get to that in a minute. I was going to say, but that's really where Burnt Orange came from, was my innate creativity and my need to create things, whether it was making, I'm not sure if anyone else has done this, but making potions in the garden. I remember grabbing petals and mud and making these potions and forcing my brother to drink them, but he did decline. I didn't kill him or anything. He's still here. Or making little books and illustrating books and writing books and giving them to my mum to read, and making dances and plays. And I've always loved just expressing myself like that. So Burnt Orange evolved from that around about four years ago or so. I found that I just wanted to share stories of creatives, whether that's photographers or artists or dancers, in an authentic way, and really kind of, rather than it being about maybe how they got into it, which I do think is really interesting. That's what I'm doing now. I'm sharing that. But then I wanted to really get down to how they find creativity, how it impacts on their well-being, what role it plays in their life, what it means to them, and really delve deep into that. And that's what's happened. And it's been incredible to, for it to have grown this much in, I think, a short amount of time. Things take a while to grow. And I think it was last year I interviewed an artist called Anna McDonald. She's great, and she actually was the catalyst for me to kind of explore the connection between art and well-being more. I'd already kind of started to, and I was already interested in it, but she actually was, because we were speaking in our interview about art as therapy. And she was saying to me that drawing lines, because her art is very minimal and abstract, she said drawing lines for her is therapy. And she has rituals that she does after, before beginning a new piece. And I found that so interesting. And so after that, I definitely started to really incorporate those questions into the interviews and really start to expand, and then speak to well-being practitioners such as yourself, to nutritionists, to holistic home organizers, to really look at well-being in its entirety.
I love the broadness of what Burnt Orange City has evolved into. And it's, like I said at the beginning, it's been so great to see the journey with it. But what you've just said there about, when you were younger, you're making these potions or doing these things that we often don't recall we used to do. And now that you kind of just mentioned that now, I was like, oh yeah, but I didn't actually see that as being creative, or I didn't see that as, but of course it is, it was putting 2 and 2 together and making something in our minds, as in making something. And I think that a lot of the time when people think of creativity, we think it's got to be some kind of perfectionism in an art or in a means of something that's creative, and of course that's not actually the case, is it? And you very much clearly state that. So what I would like to know is, what does creativity actually mean to you? The word creativity in all of its subjectiveness, what does it mean to you?
For me, it's self-expression, which I know is a very kind of, but it is about expressing and processing, as I said, and healing. And one thing I did forget to mention just with Burnt Orange and the vision I have for it now is it's about helping everyone. It's about helping everyone connect to their own creativity. Because as you rightfully said, we have an ideal of what creativity is, or what art is, and what creating is. And we think of painters, we think of artists, we think of writers, but actually every one of us is creative. And I've had so many people throughout my life say to me, I'm not creative. I've been with people that have been like that, and I've thought, no, yes, of course you are. And they just couldn't see it because they weren't in those kind of jobs. The example I always use, for example, a chef, let's go with the chef. That's such a creative job, having to come up with recipes and foods and tastes and smells to actually ignite our senses that all link together. I think that's incredibly creative. Or a mechanic, for example, that's more problem solving, but you need creativity in problem solving to think, okay, there's a problem here, I'm going to use all these different tools to fix the problem, and do it in like your own way. So I guess going back to your question of what creativity is for me, it is interlinked with my well-being. It's really, I'd say, how it's part of one's survival to be creative, to evolve and to adapt. And it's so hard to answer that question, because I always ask other people, but actually I'd say for me it's healing and processing, and it's just a huge part of one's well-being and my own well-being.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think in so many ways we are all just creators, so that makes us creative.
Mm-hmm.
And in so many ways, like even just our thoughts are creative. To be able to have the ability to create a thought, well, that's being creative in so many ways. And then if you think about the thoughts creating reality, well, what are we creating? We're being creative to create our own reality constantly through thoughts, through feelings, through, you were saying, a chef and awakening the senses through food. So everything is creativity in so many ways. And I
Yeah.
think when we start to look at the subjective meaning of creativity, it is an endless, infinite word
Yeah.
of just what is, the world, the universe is a creation. So to have a creation comes from creativity. So really it is the all that is. And that's why I think it's so important to highlight creativity in that way, rather than in the boxed way that society kind of sees it in. Like you said,
Yeah.
you've spoken to people that say they aren't creative, but then they come up with these amazing ideas with something, and just an idea is creative. So yeah, that's really amazing. I just want to ask though, because obviously you were saying healing a lot when you were talking about creativity. So how have you used creativity in your own healing journey, and how has that helped you along the way? What is the type of means of creativity that you go for?
So I think for me, it's been interesting. I think sometimes it's always in hindsight, isn't it? You look back and think, what did I go to? What was I drawn to do in those moments, maybe in those darker moments? From losing loved ones, losing friends in the last few years. I've lost a couple of friends, and my cat last year, which was literally heartbreaking because it was so unexpected. And in that moment, for example, last year, I reached for my sketch pad and I just drew. I just started to draw. And I've always loved drawing, but that was quite interesting. I was already starting to do some drawings beginning of last year, but that propelled it. I just sit on my bed for days on end after it happened, drawing. And it was actually it was very healing. It was just me. I might have had the TV on at times. I might have had music on or a podcast on, but I was so present in the lines. And for me, so when Anna said about drawing lines, I was really related to that, because that's what my art is about, my own personal art. I create sustainable art and illustrate. So there was that. But then I feel like in the past as well, journaling has always been part of my life. I've always had a diary since I was probably about 11. And I think it was about end of 2019, I came back from traveling and I just had this urge to kind of like cleanse. And so whilst I was away, I kind of remembered that I had all of my old diaries still, they're just in the cupboard or in the wardrobe. So I got back from my travels, and it's something I found it really hard, because I thought, these are experiences that I've written down. These are, these pages they're all a part of me and different moments in my life. But I kind of made a ritual, really. I put a candle on, some music, and I kind of flicked through some of them. I had a look and I tore them up and I got rid of quite a lot of them. And that was such a freeing, like a liberating feeling to kind of move forward into the next chapter. So I'd say, to me, the main ones have been drawing and painting and journaling. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love journaling as well. I think it's really inspiring, the fact that you've been journaling since you were 11 years old without even realizing what that was doing for you, and you were constantly on your own healing journey through that creativity, through that writing, and you probably weren't even aware at that age, which I think is really incredible, for you to express yourself and not allow things to bottle up, which is what is so great about journaling. And there is so many other ways that we can be creative. I mean, how would you guide someone to find their creativity if they think and they truly believe that they aren't creative?
I actually would say that journaling is a really great first step. And
Mm,
I have spoken to people that have that, the people that say, oh, I'm not creative, and that's what they've started from. And I think actually it's a good starting point, because it doesn't have to be, if you're not at that point where you want to kind of free write, that's understandable. It can be quite daunting. Even I find sometimes now a blank page, sometimes even after over a decade of journaling, I sometimes feel like I find myself maybe filtering things a bit, because I like writing, I like editing as well, which is, for my chats, I have to edit them and grammar check them and all that. And so I think, no, this is my time. I have to remind myself, this is my time to let everything flow onto the page. If there are spelling mistakes, so what? If there are no full steps, it doesn't matter, actually. And that's just maybe the perfectionist in me. But I would say that starting with, buying yourself a journal, something that, as well, a journal that connects with you, that you love the feel of, that you love the look of, the size of. And even if you write down or write a paragraph or maybe a couple of bullet points a day just about how you're feeling, it's just all about checking in with you. So it's finding it. I do that better in the evening, but if you want to do it in the morning, just jotting down how you're feeling. It can be a few words, it doesn't have to be, and just start to build every day, start to build that up to a few sentences, maybe to a paragraph. And that's how probably I'd say to get into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, because journaling, like you said, it's one that maybe people don't see as that creative element, but it is. You're still expressing yourself in so many ways, and you're still putting your thoughts and your feelings into a tangible reality, really, something you're creating, even if it is just writing, even if it is just words. And I suppose then you could sort of build it up to maybe a doodle, because sometimes we might be able to express that feeling through, a scribble, or, like you said, that artist with the lines. That's also something very interesting, to be able to do lines that represent a feeling or an emotion, and mix it with different colors or whatnot. So I really like the fact that, if you want to start tapping into your creativity, getting into journaling. And I think it would be important to say, for everyone to try and find something that kind of resonates with them. I mean, recently for me, dance has been a really big one, which I've just found. I've always loved dance, but I never knew what type of dance I loved. So I then thought, oh, well, I'm not a dancer. Right. And it's that kind of idea that we box ourselves straight away, where it's like, okay, well, I don't do ballet, so I'm not a ballet dancer, I'm not a contemporary, but I can still dance, I can still move my body, I can still do whatever the hell I want. And so that makes me a dancer. I am a dancer, because we're all dancers. We can all move. If we have that mobility, we can all move. And so I really love conscious dance and slow movement. And for me, it kind of, I feel into the song. So it's really important what song I have on, because I feel like I am painting a picture through my body of the song that I'm listening to. And that, for me, is a really great way to shift stagnant energy just through dancing anyway. But to create something that is actually almost energetically in the ethers, and it's almost like, oh, okay, well, it's gone. So I don't have that perfectionism thing, because it's like, well, it's in the moment and it's done, and then I've got nothing there, but I've still expressed and I've still released, which is ultimately the main part of it for our own healing, and using creativity in those ways. So I think, explore, for people listening, it's just a great way to explore the amount of things that are out there that, again, we probably don't even realize are creative. But I love that, journaling is a simple one. We've all got a journal, we've all got a piece of paper, we've all got a pen, and we can do it anywhere. And also, I think with that, to notice where you are and how you journal differently. I notice, like, if I'm in nature, I'll be journaling differently to how I journal at home on my bed, or depending on the time of day. And I think that's a really interesting observation to notice as well.
Yeah, and I like what you just said then with regards to it, almost creativity is expression without limits. I'm going to add that to the end to the end of my in terms of, it's not putting, I think sometimes when people say I'm not creative, it's because they, yeah, as you said, are putting themselves in boxes, and then they're comparing themselves to award-winning actors on screen, to, famous painters or designers, or they're comparing themselves. And actually everyone's creativity is a unique gift. Nobody is going to create what you create in its many forms. And it is just about not that, with journaling, going back to journaling, it is just, there's not an end goal necessarily. It's not gonna, same with artwork, it can be quite hard, it can be quite easy to get into a habit of, and I have had this, where I've been drawing something thinking, oh, would this look good on a wall, could I frame it? And like, no, you have to, sometimes it's not about that, it's not about the end goal, it's just about creating, it's about being present, as you said, and really letting it flow out of you, whether it's, if you're singing in your kitchen and you just letting it all flow out. And that's where I think the healing comes in, because sometimes I've been singing around the house and then I've started to get upset because I've thought of like a song, and I've made up a song or something, and I think actually that had to come up, me singing randomly, or a song coming into my head, that actually that emotion was there, and it had to come through, and it chose to come through via the singing or via the writing. So that's what I love most about it. And I'm an emotional person, as you know, and it's a form of expressing and not suppressing your emotions.
I can so resonate with that, with coming up with songs and then suddenly bawling, and it's or laughing, or I don't know, just being silly with yourself. But again, all these things that you're talking about now, I'm like, oh yeah, that is creative. Oh yeah, that is creative. It's like we don't even realize that we're doing it on a daily basis. I mean, who's singing in the car? That you're being creative right there. You're singing, no matter even if you're singing somebody else's lyrics, you're singing it. So it's your creativity. It's coming from your voice.
And no one else sounds like you.
Yeah.
So actually, in itself, you know what I mean? And people might go, oh, I'm not very good at singing. What's good? What's bad? In creativity and art, there isn't a good and bad. It's all subjective. Somebody might hear you from across the street if you're singing in your car and think, wow, she's great. She needs to be on the radio. Someone else might think, not keen. Doesn't actually matter what they think. But the point being that it is subjective. And if it really, with creativity and art, and it's whether it's what it brings to you in your life and how it makes you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one sentence that kind of came up for me throughout this chat, and I'm just going to say the statement or the sentence that has kind of come up for me. It's to harness creativity is to embody our inner creator.
I love that.
Yeah, that's what's really come up for me throughout this chat, because we need to embody that inner creative energy, the inner creator within us, to be able to express the creativity. And I think that is so important, to be aware and to realize and observe the everyday creativeness that happens from you, from others, the inspiration that we can get from others as well, which is why your chats with the artists are so great, because there's so much inspiration coming through from what they do to create these pieces, and the mindset that they have which leads them to creating these pieces. But again, what you said about go into creativity with no outcome, with no idea of what it is, but just to be present. I think actually creativity could potentially be a present state.
Yeah, mindfulness, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think if anyone is listening thinking, how do I tap into my creativity, obviously you've mentioned the journaling, but not to keep repeating that, but I guess it's from that kind of starting point, it's maybe thinking about maybe starting off in the evenings thinking, how have I been creative today, i.e. have I thought of some solutions to some problems that have I found a solution to things? Have I been resourceful in finding something difficult, but actually managing to kind of go around that? Have I helped a friend or a family member? Have I spoken to them and helped them? It is in different. I've actually written an article on burnt orange about this. So if anyone wants to have a read of that, I'm trying to remember what I wrote, but there are some good points on there. But yeah, it's I love your description though. Yeah, the inner creator.
Yeah. Talking about your where to find you, where can people connect with you and read your articles, which are great?
Oh, thank you. Yes, so Instagram is the main place for me. So it's at burnt or at this start again at burnt_orange_city, and then from there, or you can be burntorangecity.com, and then you can go via there and you can read the articles. And that also, I guess, brings us on to our events. Because I was just about to say of what they can find on the website. So on the website you've got chats with artists, I've now opened it back up. It's been through a bit of a journey, but I've now opened it up to all creatives. So if you are a creative listening, you might be a dancer, or you might not maybe fit into any of those. So please come forward. And yeah, I'd love to talk to you. And also wellbeing practitioners. I'm going to be launching a podcast soon, and I've just started doing events, and we have one coming up in a couple of weeks, don't we?
Yes, on the 15th of June, which I kind of love how this conversation has evolved. The fact that you started talking about journaling and writing, and I've obviously talked about dance, and the event happens to be creative writing and conscious dance. Yeah. So it's funny how maybe in so many ways, I know illustration is one of your favorite ways of creating, but also writing, the two, and then obviously mine is dance. So we've basically merged our creative styles together to create this event hosted by yourself on Burnt Orange City. And we're going to be connecting to the elements through various aspects. So connecting to water through fluidity and movement through the conscious dance. And then we'll have a guided meditation to ground ourselves through connecting to earth and air. And then we will be writing any creative writing piece. And this can go from a short poem to a statement to a sentence to a few words, whatever. You know, creative writing is really, again, limitless, just like all creativity. And that will be tapping into the element of fire, which will be igniting that passion to be able to express or even transmute our emotions or whatever it is that is coming through the conscious dance and everything like that, to be able to be released. So yeah, that's on the 15th of June. It's online as well, so it's super easy to be able to attend to. 15th of June, 7 p.m. till 8:30 p.m., which I'm very, very excited about. But yeah, I'm really excited about your podcast as well, to have people on chatting about all things creativity and well-being, which so rightly so that we've had throughout this entire chat. We can really, really clearly see the interconnection between the two, which is highly strong and apparent in so many ways. But, you know, like everything is connected.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for the event as well. We are also keeping numbers to a kind of an intimate group, just because we want it to be comfortable for people. So I think we are limiting it to 10 people, just so it's kind of nice and cozy. And we are inviting people at the end, aren't we, to share what they've written. It's not compulsory at all. So you're welcome just to kind of write and then listen to others. Or you're welcome to share what you've written with the group, and it might resonate and, you know, deeply connect with someone else in the group. So yeah, really excited. Hopefully you can all join us for some creativity and well-being, some dance and writing.
I'm so excited as well. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add on a final note?
Just that I'm very honoured to be here, and it's a pleasure to watch you grow and everything you've done with Spiral Collective and Spiral Tea. I remember when you first created Spiral Tea, which wasn't actually that long ago, and look how much it's grown, look how much you've grown. And it's just really exciting to be on this journey with you. No, that is all.
Thank you so much. Lots of love, Harriet. I'm so glad that you joined today, and I love this chat. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.